Episode 320. Today we're talking about some standouts in yesterday's matchup, game three between Florida and Carolina. And once again, the Panthers just come out steamrolling and looks like it's going to be a sweep at this point in the series. Every game's been a blowout for the Panthers, and every game's been productive for the Panthers. Their forecheck has been going every single game. They have been creating sustained chances and sustained volume every single game. They've been able to create a lot in zone offensively. And I think when you look at Florida and the makeup of their game, these two teams play a very similar style in terms of how they check, how they forecheck you, how they seal the walls, how they activate their defensemen, how their structure is based on all five guys being in a unit. And I think Florida just does it 10 times better. And they've shown that throughout this series. And this has only been three games where we've seen 16 goals out of Florida. And especially against a team that, like Carolina, that still is a very productive team, a team that can generate a lot of offense. They have some premier scorers. They have some premier guys up front, but they have not found a way to be able to break through in the series, and they haven't been able to find those opportunities like they usually would. So I think with Florida, they've just done a great job so far of being able to, for lack of a better term, jam it down their throats and being able to have that sustained chances and who sustain volume all the time. I think that's really important to their game and how they're able to create offensively and also how they're able to be reliable defensively and be structured. And they're a very physical team. They're obviously hard to play against, but I think when you're talking about the makeup of their game, it's just they've been rolling. They've been so productive. They've getting better and better and better each and every game. And sure it looks like now they're gonna go to the Stanley Cup final for the third consecutive year. And it's gonna be interesting to see how this whole situation pans out because I think with Florida too, and I've said this and I've touched on this multiple times previously, but the deeper they go in the playoffs, it seems they always find a way to improve themselves. They find a way to get better over the course of time, which is pretty remarkable when you're talking about the Panthers and how they play. And some teams just tend to break down later on, but they're a team that gets better later on in the playoffs. I think it has to do with playing more games and getting more reps in the playoffs because this team just gets more comfortable as they get deeper. And I think that's one of the main reasons why they've been so good in the playoffs the last few years now. So great game from Florida all around. And some guys who I really like, obviously Alexander Barkov, 2 goals, 1 assist, just was awesome as their captain, their leader. But being able to use his puck handling to maneuver in and out of traffic, being able to create a line rush, being able to create using his playmaking and stuff like that. One of the guys who was actually really impressed with, he drew in for Sam Reinhart because Sam Reinhart was not available because of injury. He drew in Jesper Boquist. And I thought Jesper Boquist was fantastic. 1 goal, 2 assists. I think if Reinhardt doesn't play next game, and also if Eetu gets suspended, I think you have to keep Boquist potentially in that top six because he played that good. And he was so productive and was so reliable in all situations. And that just speaks to the depth that they have. And another guy who's noticeable is Nico Mikkola, who first career multi-goal playoff game. He had 2 goals in this game. I think Mikola is really underrated, and he plays at 5-on-5 mostly with Seth Jones, and underrated guy in their top four who can play physical, can play mean, can play a shutdown game, and can play very reliable in all situations, and a guy you can rely upon in all situations very heavily. Of course, guys like Evan Rodriguez and Matthew Tkachuk and Sam Bennett were all noticeable. Same with Aaron Ekblad, but I really like Marchand's game once again. I think he was just great at 5-on-5. He's creating a lot of chances, creating a lot of volume, and he was able to create in transition on multiple sequences too. So he was doing a great job there. I really liked his game and how he's able to manage all different aspects of not only the tempo, but being able to just create chances and being able to create volume was very important to his game. And then for Carolina's side, I thought Logan Stankoven was one of the guys. If you're talking about guys that are noticeable all game, he was probably that main guy. He was buzzing. He was physical. He was forward checking. He was creating transition. He was not afraid to go one-on-one against guys, even guys that are bigger than him. And Stankoven had 2 points, goal and assist, 4 shots. So he's creating volume. He was around the net a lot. He's active in front of the net. And one of the few guys who's been active consistently in front of the net for them throughout the series. I would say I've noticed him more around the net in games 2 and 3, though. And then Sebastian Aho, Seth Jarvis, and those guys are pretty self-explanatory. Like Seth Jarvis had a really nice goal off a really nice feed from Stankoven later on in the game in the third period, and it was a really nice finish. And Sebastian Aho, you've been looking for more from him. He hasn't done quite enough, but he was a little bit more noticeable in this game and more so on the physical side than the offensive side, but was still noticeable, still was involved, and still was creating some chances from time to time, but not consistently.